Hey, welcome back. You understand that whole foods and a balanced diet for yourself is by far the better option than those fast foods packed full of nasty ingredients. And there you are, wanting to apply this nutritional logic to your doggo's food but don't have a clue how to. I know it can be really confusing. There's so much conflicting information out there. Well, today I'm going to show you the quickest and the easiest way to make a month's worth of real, high-quality foods. And while I'm at it, share some cost-cutting tricks. You'll be raw meal prepping like a pro, and I'll show you how to do it the easy way. Now, before we get into the basic steps so you can start to make your meals for your dog that you know are balanced and really good for him, as well as tasting amazing and not breaking your budget, this is where meal prepping comes into it, not only to save you time, but to save you money. First things first, I want to make sure you're handling the food correctly and minimizing any bacteria risk. Raw dog food has been literally slammed by the manufacturers of kibble, that is the dry foods, because they want to scare you into thinking it's dangerous and full of bacteria and horrible bugs like salmonella. Here's a fun fact. In the past 5 years, there has been a whopping worldwide kibble recall of over 9 million kilograms of this stuff. That's over multiple brands, in comparison to only 8,021 kilograms of pre-made raw mixes. I feel their marketing propaganda is a tad misleading. My take out here, it's BS. Food handling 101. Use plastic non-porous chopping boards. Do not use wood or bamboo. Wear food prepping gloves like these if you're squeamish about meat and organs. Use a bacterial cleaner to wipe everything down as you go, and treat the meat as if it's your own dinner. Common sense prevails. Keep it clean and do not cross-contaminate the prep area. I like to keep a completely separate set of boards and knives for my dog's meal prepping, and I find paper towel is invaluable. Hey, if you've got this far and you like what you're seeing, please subscribe. It really helps our channel. The easiest way to do bulk meal prep is to make up some base mixes containing muscle meats and organs. I'm going to make 4 base mixes for you today: a beef mix, a chicken mix, and a pork mix. I've also pre-done a cooked vegetable mix to show you as well. I've chosen these combinations because the ingredients are easy to source in most places. So, what's the magic formula with this meat part? It's the BARF model. It's a simple formula based on 70-10-10-10 ratio. Stick with it, and I will go into the other percentages a little bit later on. Before I go on, what the heck does BARF actually mean? Well, biologically appropriate raw, or as I like to say, real feeding or food. You are feeding a biologically appropriate or species appropriate diet, what your dog was really designed to eat. The first meat mix I'm doing today is beef-based. Okay, the base mix contains 90% meat and 10% offal or organs. So for a 1 kilo base mix, it should be obviously 900 grams of meat and 100 grams of mixed organs. And this can be the confusing bit. So if you've got this far, the rest is a piece of cake, figuratively speaking. Dogs shouldn't eat cake. What counts as meat? Well, the obvious cuts like rump, chuck, shoulder or leg meat, or it could be as simple as a pre-minced meat that you can get from your local supermarket or butcher. It's interesting to note that muscle meats like tongue and heart actually add to this component and are always cheaper than cuts like rump steak, for example. Pro tip, include heart in every mix to ensure that your dog's taurine levels are met. I'm using beef chuck today as it was on special. Coarsely chop it up like this, or if you have a mincer, you can mince the lot. It's quicker, but the chunky cuts of meat are much preferred by our 4-dashies. They like to chew, and it's better for their teeth. Next is the 10% organ component. This is where it gets a bit tricky. Stick with me and I'll explain further. Today's mix in our beef combination has beef liver, beef heart, and beef tongue, if you're wondering what this delightful thing was at the back here. Sometimes it can be a bit gross, but you know, it's very good. There we go. It's difficult, if not impossible, to get enough vitamins and minerals in a raw diet without the inclusion of offal. And the organ that supplies the most, gram for gram, is the liver. This will supply most of their vitamins and many of their minerals. The main mistake raw feeders make is only adding liver. Pro tip, variety is key. There are many other organs you should feed your dog. Source as many of them as you possibly can. Now, to explain the types of organs to you. There are 2 categories of organs. There's the secreting type and the non-secreting type. Secreting, as the name suggests, means they make something, they secrete. Non-secreting means they simply do something, they have a job. Secreting organs are liver, pancreas, spleen, kidney, brain, testicles and eyes. Non-secreting organs are lung, green tripe and intestines. Secreting organs like liver should make up 5% of the diet, and non-secreting organs like green tripe should make up 5% of the diet, and these together make up the 10% organ rule. In my experience, many dogs reject the strong flavours of organs, so we always mince these together. In this mix, there happens to be beef liver, beef heart, beef lung and green tripe. As I said, this is really the only tricky bit. I source all my organs from our local Asian butcher, but most supermarkets will stock liver, kidney, chicken giblets and so on. For comparison, this is a beef heart, this is a pork heart, and these are chicken hearts. This is a beef liver, this is pork liver, this is pork kidney, this is a pork spleen, for those who've never seen one. This is green tripe, these are chicken livers, this is a beef tongue, this is pork intestine as well. It's actually very nutrient dense. It's very difficult to handle though because it's actually quite stringy. So there you go, you get an idea of the different shapes and sizes of the organs available to you out there. Now, in this base mix for ease of measurements, 900 grams of meat, including the heart, and 100 grams of offal go into this 1 kilo tub. Now, we do multiple base mixes so we can rotate and use different meats and different offals on a daily and weekly basis. Diversification is key to a balanced diet. Today, I'm simply doing the core 3, beef, chicken and pork as I've mentioned, and obviously the veggie mix. Pro tip, takeaway containers are great to use as they stack nicely in your freezer and can be washed and reused. The other pro tip, which I haven't included here, is write on your containers so you know which type of meat you've got in them. Okay, so all we do is simply mix this together and make sure to weigh the organs and meats to follow the BARF percentage model. I've already pre-weighed these so I know exactly what's going on here. There's a kilo of the beef and here's our minced up meat, and I know exactly that that is 50 grams. And that's around the 50 grams. All you do, simply mix together, like so. Pop it in your freezer. One down. Now for the chicken base mix. Same idea as the beef mix. I'm using a whole chicken for this recipe. It takes longer to cut it up, sure, than simply buying breast meat or thigh cutlets, but the trade-off here is the cost. Chicken breasts cost around $14 a kilo and a whole chicken comes in around $5 a kilo. We have 4 dogs and we think the cost far outweighs the time it takes. And as a bonus, the dogs get the frames as a separate meal offering, covering off their bone matter requirements. You can always just use pre-minced chicken meat if you don't have time or if you find it just easier. Pro tip, keep some of the skin in the mix if you have active working dogs. Fat equals energy. In this mix, we include chicken hearts, covering off their taurine requirements. The offal component is chicken liver and giblets. The ratio is 900 grams of meat to 100 grams of the offal mix, same as the beef mix. Again, we mince all the offal together and then mix it through, as you can see. 50 grams of liver, 50 grams of giblets to 900 grams of the meat. Beautiful chicken meat. This is obviously from the frame, the entire chicken, and there's some mince as well. Then I know the ratio again, this is about 50 grams. This is all mixed together and this is about 50 grams. So there's your perfect ratio. Give it a really good mix. Obviously a better mix than that. Pop your lid on with the name chicken on it and freeze. And our last base mix today is the pork combination. We're using pork topside and pork shin as it's lean, and both of them are very cheap cuts of meat. Included in this 900 gram portion is pork heart as well. The offal component used here is pork spleen, pork liver and pancreas. Again, we mince the offals to hide them as our dogs sometimes don't like the texture and they leave it behind in their bowls. So here's our beautiful pork chopped meat. Again, same idea. In it all goes. We've got some pork mince as well, just for a bit of texture because that particular tray was marked down. And for around 90 grams, 50. Mix it up really well. This is not mixing it up, but you get the idea. Again, labelled for ease of use and freeze. So that was the hard part done and dusted. Make sure you clean your boards and utensils well between each mix. Right, now for the easy fun bits, fortifying their bowls using these base mixes. We have a freezer full of foods we rotate in, including their dinners, and it's varied and often changes depending on the season, what's cheap or what's on special this month. Pro tip, always be on the lookout for marked down foods that can be frozen, saving you a lot of money. The next 10% requirement in the BARF formula is bones. Dogs need bones for 3 vital reasons, and we've done another in-depth video solely on bones and how to choose the best ones for your doggos. It's linked below. The 3 reasons are calcium and minerals, teeth cleaning and mental stimulation. We add our bone matter separately to our base mixes, and they get these every single day in one form or another, plus 2 or 3 times a week, a lovely whole raw meaty bone to gnaw on. First up is the beef combo base mix. I'm adding a couple of chicken necks for the bone matter and a cooked egg that I've actually included the eggshell in. There's a lot of calcium and mineral content in eggshells. Next up is the chicken combo mix we've just made, and I'm going to use a whole sardine for the bone matter in this meal. You can also use fish heads like salmon heads cut into appropriate size for your dog as well. The last one up is the pork combo mix, which we've made. The 10% bone matter for this meal is simply a gorgeous chicken foot. The next requirement on the BARF model is 10% vegetables and fruits. Veggies must be cooked. Dogs simply cannot digest plant matter unless it's cooked because their digestive process can't break down the cellular structure of the plant matter. I make a monthly veggie base mix and I freeze them all into 1 kilo tubs. These mixes vary from month to month depending on what's cheap and what's in season or what's been marked down at the fruit store. Pro tip, visit your local fruit and veggie store early in the morning. They will have marked down the produce from the day before that's looking a little limp and squidgy. Now, I did an entire meal prep for this month and it cost me $39 and I managed to make 11 tubs, that is 11 kilos of cooked goodness. Cheap. Now, this mix has pumpkin, spinach, beans, carrots, zucchini, eggplant and celery, all at very much marked down prices. All I did was pop it into a food processor and then put it into a pot with some water and a couple of tablespoons of pink Himalayan salt and cook it down. Simply include around 10% of this mix in each bowl. There's a lot of insoluble fibre in these veggies as I include all the stalks and the pumpkin skin, and this makes up the prebiotic part of their diet. So around 10% of that bowl looks like that. A bit of pumpkin in that one, and because we've got a bigger bubba on this end. There we go. So there you go. You can see the ratios. Bone matter, meat and offal, and vegetable matter. Now, I do need to say that dogs need at least 1 raw meaty bone per week, preferably 2 or 3, over and above their daily meals. These bones should be large enough to provide a really long-lasting chew. Raw meaty brisket bones are perfect. They're 100% edible. Again, check our other video to get the full lowdown on bones for your dog. Now for the fancy garnishy bit. Now, you don't need to do any of this. What I have gone through here today will create a premium complete diet that will balance over time. But I have the freezer space and it makes mealtimes more enjoyable for my babies. And if I'm honest, it just makes me feel happy watching them enjoy their variety. Pro tip, ice cube trays are your new best friends. We've done an entire video on this topic. Today we're just going to garnish these meals because we can. Some fun additions to these types of bowls can be easily prepped in advance. In this instance, we've got some beautiful chopped parsley, we've got some avocado, these are some leftover veggies, we've got some added mashed pumpkin, we've got a beautiful bone broth here, we've got some blueberries, and we've got some chia and coconut milk here. All you do simply is, obviously, pop them out of the tray, and depending upon your dog's requirement at the time, include them in their beautiful meals. And there you have it. Now, this one's a game changer. Another great cost-saving pro tip is prawn heads. They, oddly enough, are packed full of nutrition and basically free. We ate the prawn meat and everything else just wasted. Pop the heads and all of the leftover shells into a blender, add a splash of water and pour the goopy mix into an ice cube tray. You've got a nutritional powerhouse in a single easy bowl boosting serve that costs you nothing. Winner, winner, prawn head dinner. Well, there you have it, the quickest and simplest way to meal prep for your doggos. This really is a 101 guide. The base mixes can be made from different proteins like venison, water buffalo, lamb, and there is nothing stopping you from mixing up these proteins in the same containers. We do it all the time. I just wanted to break it down into single protein mixes to make it easy for this video. And so you can see how simple it is to feed single proteins, or how easy it is to avoid proteins if you know your dog does not do well on chicken, for example. Control all of the ingredients in the mixes is one of the huge reasons why DIY meal prepping is so damn good. The magic time-saving trick here is simply prep in bulk and freeze. Rotate the mixes and change up the additions to their bowls. Use your ice cube trays for all the bells and whistles. Now you can prep like a pro. Happy prepping, people!